Hello and welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, 18 Hours special initiative that celebrates the undying entrepreneurial spirit of micro, small and medium enterprises. Here's what we have lined up on the show for you today. On our Insights segment, we're talking to Wishberry. We'll talk all things crowdfunding. On Bright Sparks tonight, we feature Pop Knitwear, one of India's most well-known textile companies, and you build a do-it-yourself furniture company. So that's what we have in store for you tonight. Let's start off right away with our Insight conversation. As we've seen time and time again in terms of feedback and conversations with entrepreneurs here on the Leaders of Tomorrow, funding remains the number one challenge for businesses. Crowdfunding then is a way of ensuring that projects or ventures are funded by raising many small amounts of money from a large number of people, typically via the internet. It is relatively new to India, but its co-founders have big plans for the business. I caught up with Anshulika Dubey as well as Priyanka Agarwal, its co-founders. Take a listen. And I want to start by understanding the journey behind Wishberry.
So it was very interesting. I was in McKinsey and I spent 4 years over there. And Priyanka, who was my ex-McKinsey colleague, had become my Facebook friend and we had not really interacted much in a long time. And I knew that she had moved on from McKinsey and had started something called Wishberry, but I didn't know exactly what it did. So just one day on Facebook, I saw her putting out a fundraising campaign of a particular NGO, and the entire format of the website looked exactly like Kickstarters, that you have a project, you have rewards. And I was like, wait, somebody's doing crowdfunding in India, and I need to tell her that, you should extend this to artists and not just keep it to charity. And I write to her and I said that you can probably do this, and I can totally just give you all the information and you can start, because I had no idea on how to do this myself. So she was like, yeah, this sounds interesting, let me get back to you. She probably did her own research and stuff. And I remember in February 2012, I was in Boston already to discuss my transfer with my seniors, when just one morning she sends me an email saying, I think your idea is great and I think you should just come and head it with me. I said, amazing. Are you kidding me?
So that's an interesting journey. But, just how large is the market for crowdfunding in India?
So crowdfunding it's not like, as Anshulika keeps saying, selling soap or selling something that already gets sold offline, online. It's about creating a new behavior. So, as she mentioned, that artists in India, whether it's filmmakers, musicians, theatre groups, dancers, they don't have a traditional source of funding, right? They can't go to financial institutions because there's no credit. They can't go to angel investors, there's no return. So, and they're not charity, right? So they can't go to a CSR fund or government grants to get money. So what do? They actually give up their dreams and go get IT jobs. So now we are saying that there is a new way for you to pursue your dream, which is raise money online through friends and fans.
For areas and sectors outside of what you're looking at right now, will it be more relevant to say the manufacturing industry at some point going forward? Could they look at crowdfunding as an option?
So I think there are different models of crowdfunding, right? There's equity crowdfunding when startups or medium small enterprises actually want to raise larger amounts, 3-4 crores, 10 crores, and they want to actually give out equity in their company for growth. So that is when the equity crowdfunding model works. That model in India is hard because it's not exactly legal yet. SEBI has released a consultation paper, but they've not really codified it into a set of rules. It took the US almost 3-4 years to get their set of rules out, right? The Jobs Act was released in 2012. So medium and small enterprises today, whether manufacturing or consumer, whatever, I don't know whether crowdfunding is relevant for them yet.
Okay, so I want to talk about, what advice you would have for our viewers in terms of making themselves more investment ready.
Wow. I think having a unique idea that you are truly passionate about is what's most important. And I want to stress on the passion bit, because it's not just the idea an investor invests in, especially at the angel stage or seed stage. It's the entrepreneur as well. So it's important that you are as passionate about your idea as your co-founder, and you sell yourself as much as you sell the idea. So I would say that having an idea that you're proud of and that you really want to make happen is probably the most important factor in being able to raise funding for your idea.
Starting out, what would you say is the biggest challenge you guys have encountered, and what advice then would you have for our viewers?
I would say starting out finding the right team. As she mentioned, I had started Wishberry a year earlier as a very different business in charity fundraising, and I kind of started it alone, right? And it's very difficult to go through the journey of being an entrepreneur with the ups and downs, emotional, financial, everything alone. But then how do you find a co-founder? It's like finding professional soulmate, right?
Absolutely.
So I almost
more important than a husband or a wife.
Exactly, right? And I almost went through 3 or 4 of them, right? Till I found Anshulika. And again, what bound us is the passion for the idea. The crowdfunding for creative artists was her idea. Being an entrepreneur was my idea. And then that marriage worked, right? So I think you just need to put yourself out there and find people, but find people who believe in what you believe in.
Both of you are just about 30. Has that ever worked against you? And also, as much as we hate talking about the gender angle, has that ever come up? Has that ever been a challenge?
So we'll have very different perspectives here. I think age is not a barrier. I feel as long as you
Nobody thought that we were kids or something like that trying to do something.
Absolutely.
I did.
But I think even gender genuinely is not really an issue per se in being an entrepreneur in general. But when it comes to raising funds or external capital for your business, and when then you depend on either the traditional sources as banks or investors, then they are colored by prejudice, right? They think that women, their priorities change when they get married, and since we both not married, they would think that, okay, what if they put in 5 crores in the business and then we get married, will we shut the business down, or really absurd concerns, right? But then again,
how do you handle those concerns? How do you convince them?
So we've had those really few cases, but instead of worrying about that too much, just move on, because there were 45 of them who really didn't care.
We have 45 investors in Wishberry. We crowdsourced our investment. And our lead investor, Rajan, he's known for his hashtag, the future is female. So he actively invests in startups run by women. And the other lead investor in our company, Sharat Sharma, he actually went to another extreme, saying that crowdfunding requires empathy, because you are essentially convincing 2 people who may be strangers to invest in each other, right? And empathy comes best from women, right? And which is why he feels a business like ours is best run by women.
So what advice would you have for our female entrepreneurs who are watching this show? I mean, you've been fortunate that you found people who have backed you 100%, but what about those women entrepreneurs who are still struggling with some of these issues?
I think most of the struggle lies within the idea. Most of the problem. I think just being too married to your idea is just not something that any person, whether it's a female entrepreneur or a male entrepreneur, should get married to the idea too much, that they're not seeing what the market is telling them. They don't like to change anything. Look into your idea, listen to the market, you'll find the answers there yourself. Take feedback. Maybe if 5 investors are saying that the same thing, maybe there is something that you need to step back and take a look at.
So speaking of that, how important is mentoring? And so for example, we've had a lot of women VCs who've come on the show who say that mentoring for women is very different when it comes to, mentoring for women and mentoring for men is very different. And you have to find that particular fit in terms of a role model. What has that been like for you guys?
I don't think that's true. I mean, Anshulika and I, we have a very different viewpoint. We feel we asked a similar question: what are the issues female entrepreneurs face? And the answer is the same issues that male entrepreneurs face, right? I mean, entrepreneurs are entrepreneurs. So I feel, yes, mentorship for us has been important. In fact, our lead investors for our last round of funding came through one of our mentors, advisors, who started out as a client actually. He runs the startup center in Chennai. So mentors are important to open doors. Now the doors could be for investment, could be for cracking a deal, for clients, could be for anything.
But mentors are needed for sure. Meaning you just, you need an outside perspective. You absolutely do. So when a lot of people ask me that 6 months into their startups, they start getting advisors on board for equity. I would say 6 months is probably a too short a time, because then you're also moving towards too many cooks spoil the broth. But once you have figured out something and you're like 100% sure that this is the way I want to do it, and I haven't found any hurdle in my style of running the business, that's when you get an advisor on board to just now scale this up further.
But how do you go about finding that mentor? Someone who is the right fit for you?
I think in the course of your doing business, you come across so many people. So I think it just happens on its own. You don't have to really take out time and say, okay, now today I'm going to go to this market to find my mentor. There isn't any. So, but in your daily workings, you will find someone.
What are the next, say, 5 to 10 years looking like for you at Wishberry? Maybe I can, ask each of you to speak on that.
I would say it very non-quantitatively. A big milestone for us at Wishberry is that 3 of the films that we crowdfunded on our platforms have won national awards. And that was amazing. And for me, I was happy for 30 seconds and I said, now next is the Sundance Film Festival and finally the Oscars. So next 10 years we have to crowdfund an Oscar on Wishberry. That is my goal for the next 10 years.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I completely resonate with what she is talking about. We really want to empower artists in the country, and we do see ourselves becoming that ecosystem which is doing so many things. It's starting with crowdfunding, but it'll also do a lot more things that are in the offing. So I think I see Wishberry becoming a conglomerate for artists.
Let's take a quick break. On the other side, we'll bring you up to speed with Poppy's knitwear as well as U-Build. Do stay tuned.